Hey guys, this is FreeandFrenzy91, and I'm talking about single-player games. Now, if you guys recall some of my old videos, I did talk about single-player games and why we don't see as many anymore. But recently, Amy Hennig, who was working on a Star Wars game for EA that was single-player, and EA basically stopped the game or they put it on hold or something like that. Now, for those of you who do not know who Amy Hennig is, she worked for Naughty Dog, and she actually worked on the Uncharted series. I was watching Review Tech USA's video, and he said that she worked on the Uncharted series. And he was pointing out what she talked about, and I'm not going to read the whole thing that she said, but she was talking about how single-player games are not sustainable, and he was talking about it too, and I'll have a link to his video in the description, but I think he missed something, and I'm going to point out that with the whole single-player game not being sustainable thing. Here's the thing. Gamers, as I've said in the past, I believe, we expect more out of our games now. If you guys are I'm 28 right now, and I remember when we didn't expect that much out of our games. We expected them just to be fun, whether they were short, whether they were long, as long as they were fun, it was cool. Now we expect more out of our games. Like, you can't expect people to pay $60 for a 9-hour experience anymore. I believe you could back in the day. Certain games, I think even for the Xbox 360, used to be like single player only, and they used to be like 9 hours or 12 hours. We just can't expect that anymore. And why can't we expect that anymore? Because of online. See, here's the thing. Before online play became big for consoles, that is, you couldn't have certain games be online, be multiplayer. They had to basically be single player only. I'll name one, like Assassin's Creed. But then when online came out, everybody has their own screen. All of a sudden, these companies could make games that were only single player before, multiplayer. So now, if a game doesn't include multiplayer, people expect more out of the game. Now, Rich in Review Tech USA, he was talking about but God of War, and he said Detroit Become Human can be single player only and be sustainable. But here's the thing about that. He was talking about how with God of War, it's because it has a name and stuff. No, I don't think that's the only reason. I think the reason is because if you notice, single player games have changed. Single player games like God of War, they have end game content. Do you guys remember, those of you who are as old as me would probably remember, when a lot of single-player games had no endgame content? When you finished a linear storyline, and after the linear storyline was finished, there was nothing else to do. You could start a new game, but that was it. But God of War and them, they don't have that, I believe. I believe God of War, after you finish the main storyline, you still have stuff to do. You still have challenges. You still have endgame content. And as you do with most single-player games nowadays, because that's the only real way I believe that they can be sustainable. People expect more out of their games. People expect that if your game doesn't have multiplayer, that the single-player experience will keep them occupied for a while. People don't expect 10 to 15 hours anymore, and that's it. People expect, after I'm done the game, I can still do stuff, like I can still do challenges, or I could try to, as we used to call it, I'm not sure if they still call it, flip the game, where you get 100% of whatever it is, like collect all this, get 100% fully. And it's also because games are becoming more expensive to make. So publishers, when it comes to a single player game, publishers have to get their money. They have to sell, I believe, more games for it to be sustainable. Because multiplayer games, I think publishers eventually make more money because multiplayer games are pretty quick with the microtransactions and with the DLC. But with single player games, it's just more about, they basically only make the money. Sure, they have DLC sometimes, but they basically only make a lot of their money from the sales. So they have to really have faith, I believe, that this single-player game will make us a lot of sales before they make it out. Because, as I said, we as consumers, we've gotten to expect more out of our games than back in the day. We expect the games to keep us occupied for longer. We expect them to have more content. So the publishers, if they're going to keep that $60 price point range, they have to give us either a lot more content with the single-player games, or they add multiplayer. Simple as that. And that's why I think the main thing is, I think that we, as a lot of people, we expect more out of our games, and the publishers just can't do that at the price point of $60 every single time unless they include multiplayer. That's what I think. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. May God bless you all.